All right, you guys, we don't need like any notes or there's no notes or anything. You guys can just write something down if you have a piece of paper or something. It'll just be your own kind of notes and whatnot today. Kind of lucky, I'm not gonna lie, because we're supposed to sing today, and obviously, I mean, we could try to sing on here. That would actually be kind of funny, but um, we don't get to sing today in class, which makes me sad. I have I have the video still, Ellie, of Liv singing. Um, let's see if I can find it real quick. Nope, that's not it. That's not it. No, no, this is awkward. I don't know what happened.
You got a lot of free time now? Oh my.
That
was a nice voice crack.
That could have been you guys. I'm just saying. Okay. We've got the quadratic formula and the discriminant. Okay. It's really easy if you can remember the formula. That's all I'm if you guys can remember the formula, we'll take care of just about everything. Okay. Like we've solved these quadratics with factoring with square roots. We completed the square. We've done factoring, or we've solved them by just factoring. Okay, we've done all these different ways, and they only work on some. Like I've had to give you like an actual like specific problem that situation works. Well, this one for the quadratic formula works on every single, like works no matter what on every single quadratic of x squared plus bx plus c. So there's no like, oh, it doesn't work on these, it works on these. There's none of that. You can always do the quadratic formula. Now, you're probably saying, like, why do we have to learn all the other ways? Can we just do this way? Well, the quadratic formula is not necessarily easier, I would say. In algebra 2, you will learn what this formula means and it'll derive it and explain how they got to it and why it works. I don't really care about that, so we're not going to do that. Okay, we are only gonna, I'm giving you the formula and you're going to go from there. Okay. So the first thing after you wrote down, just, I would write down section 9.9, the quadratic formula and the discriminant, is like your section title. And then I would definitely write down that formula. Okay, this part right here. X equals negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. Okay. And that's all we're going to use in this whole section, but it's important that we memorize it. I'm going to try to watch this YouTube video really quick so that everyone can see it. Let's see. Just so you can hear the rhythm. Maybe that'll help you memorize it. Oh, there I am.
Quadratic formula is negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a.
We could listen to Crank That Quadratic as well, but we're not going to right now. I'll let you guys go watch that one. Okay. All right. So let's take a look at this now. All right. So here, to remember it, here's what I'm going to encourage you to do. I would like you every single time that you do one of these problems, at least getting started. Okay. Let's write the formula down just so we get used to recite it and we know what it is. So we're going to start with our negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. That's not good. All over over 2a. Okay, now in order to start to solve these, you've got to move them into standard form, which means we're going to have to move the x over and I'm going to have to move the 20 over. Okay, so I would subtract the x over and I would subtract the 20 over, and I'm going to end up with x squared minus x minus 20 equals 0. Okay. Now, if it didn't say solve using the quadratic formula, I would just factor this to solve it. Okay, what would multiply to get me negative 20 and would add to get me negative x? Anyone? Anybody have an idea? Oh, everyone's muted, that's why. Oh, Hudach, what multiplies? Hudach, what multiplies to get me negative 20 will add to get me negative 1? Someone did? I feel like Hudach didn't come up with that one, but okay. Yeah, so we would do x minus 5 and x plus 4, and we would get our answer. That's how we would have done it. I'd be done by now. But you're not allowed to do that anymore. We have to use the quadratic formula. Okay. So down below, go ahead and identify what a, b, and c are. Okay. So a, remember, it's ax squared plus bx plus c. So my a value is whatever in front of x squared there, which is 1. My b value here is whatever's in front of just the x, and in this case, it's negative 1. And then my c value is whatever's on the end right there. In this case, it's negative 20. Okay, so I've got 1, negative 1, and then negative 20. Those are my a, b, and c values, and that's what's going to go in to my quadratic formula right here. All right, so I've got negative b. Now, if I have negative b and then the b value is already negative 1, it's like negative, negative b. Okay, so negative and then a negative is going to make it just a positive b. So I'm just going to write it as 1. Okay, 1 plus or minus the square root here. Okay, b squared. Now, I want you to really pay attention to how you write these. Okay, write them in a way that, like, I'm trying to think of the best way to put it. Write it in a way that makes it every time this is what you do. Okay, we're going to put negative 1 in parentheses every single time. So negative 1 squared minus 4 times a and c. So a was 1. And then multiply it by c, which is negative 20. And then we can all over. And then 2a, so 2 times 1, which really won't change much there. Okay. Now, to simplify this, okay, 1 plus or minus, that's not going to simplify. We need to simplify what's underneath this part here. Okay. And I want you to just do all of that in your calculator. So if you need a second, go grab your calculator. Okay. And put it in exactly how I have it written, including adding the parentheses where I have them, exactly how I do. So I have my parenthesis, negative 1 squared minus 4 times 1, and then times negative 20, all in parentheses, and then hit equals. Okay. You should, once you do that, get 81. And then all over, and then simplify the 2 times 1 to just 2. Okay. Now from here, okay, it's 1 plus or minus the square root of 81. Well, it's going to be the same situation. I can simplify this one more time. 1 plus or minus the square root of 81 is 9, and then over 2. But since I have this plus or minus, again, I have two cases. So I have case 1, just like when we completed the square, and I have case 2. Okay, 1 is going to be when it's 1 plus 9 over 2. And 1 is going to be 1 minus 9 over 2. Okay. 1 plus 9 divided by 2 is going to get me 10 divided by 2, which is 5. And then 1 minus 9 is going to get me negative 8 divided by 2. I get my negative 4. So my two answers are going to be 5 or negative 4. Okay. Sorry that handwriting does not look very good, but that's about the best I can do. Okay. So we get our two cases. Anybody have any questions on those first ones? No, we're good. All right. Moving on. Same thing. I want you to write up top right away. Negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. Okay, get that into our heads. All right, and then after that, go ahead and identify what a is, what b is, and what c is. Okay. Four. Okay, so I got my A value as 6, my B value is 5, and my C value is negative 4. Once I have all of those identified, I'm going to go ahead and plug it back into my equation. So negative B, so I have negative 5 plus or minus square root. In this case, it's B squared, so 5 squared minus 4. Oh, I messed up. I want to put that in parentheses just for when we put it in our calculator so we remember. So in parentheses, 5 squared minus 4, and then we're going to put A, which is 6, and C, which is negative 4, also in parentheses, and then divide it by 2 times 6. Okay. We can simplify now. Again, we can't change the negative 5 plus or minus yet. That's going to stay. And then we can put what's underneath the square root sign into our calculator. Don't put the square root in, just put what's underneath it. So 5 in parentheses squared minus 4 times 6 times negative 4, all together in your calculator. Anyone want to tell me what we got? Nice. Who was that? I don't know. Oh, thanks, Ben. 121 all over 12. We can simplify one more time. We can go minus 5 plus or minus. The square root of 121 is going to be 11, and then all over 12. Once I get to that step there, then it becomes my case 1 and my case 2. Okay. Negative 5 plus 11 over 12, and negative 5 minus 11 over 12. Okay. We can then simplify. Negative 5 plus 11 is going to get me 6, and then 6 divided by 12 is going to simplify to 1/2. Or I have negative 5 minus 11, which is going to give me negative 16. And then negative 16 over 12 can then simplify to 4 over 3, or negative 4 over 3. So my two answers then in this case would be 1/2 or negative 4/3. Are there any questions on either of those two first? Nothing? All right. Okay. Let's keep moving on here. Let's see. We need to find a good one here. We're going to skip the third one and go on to this one. Okay. All right. Now, this one needs a little bit of rearranging as well. Okay. And we need to put it in that ax squared plus bx plus c form. Okay. To do that, I would go ahead and I would probably add the 9x over. Yeah, let's add the 9x over. Okay. Now, while I do this, I'm also going to rearrange. Okay. So minus 5x squared. This was a positive 9x. And then I have the plus 2 there. So I have negative 5x squared plus 9x plus 2. There's nothing left on this side. Oh, get out of here. So I'm just going to put equals 0. Okay. Then I'll write my quadratic formula. So negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. We're going to identify our a, b, and c values. So a, b, and c. My b value is 9, and my c value is 2. Once you have all those identified there, then we can go ahead and just plug them in as we go. So negative b, so I'm going to have negative 9 plus or minus the square root of 9 squared, again, put that in parentheses, minus 4 times negative 5 for A and 2 for C. Extend that on a little bit. And then all over 2A. Okay, I can't simplify the negative 9 plus or minus yet. And then we're going to go ahead and put everything underneath the radical sign in our calculators. So 9 squared minus 4 times negative 5 times 2. And we got 121 again. Great. Square root of 121. And I don't know why I put 2a here. This could have been negative 5. And then all over negative 10. Then we'll go down and we'll simplify again here. So I'll have negative 9 plus or minus the square root of 121, which is 11, all over negative 10. And then we'll have our cases. So case 1 and case 2. Case 1 is going to be negative 9 plus 11 over negative 10. And case 2 is going to be negative 9 minus 11 over negative 10. Okay. And this should simplify to negative 9 plus 11, which is going to be 2. 2 divided by negative 10 is going to be negative 1/5. And then negative 9 minus 11 is negative 20. Negative 20 divided by negative 10 gets me 2. So my two answers here are 1/5 or 2. All right, I want to do one more that looks like that. Okay, last one. Go ahead and write that one down. Okay, we don't need to rearrange anything here. We're already in our ax squared plus bx plus c form. Okay, we're going to write our quadratic formula, negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. I want to identify my a, b, and c values. So a here is going to be 2. B is going to be negative 8. And C is going to be 1. And I'm going to plug that in, okay, for all these again. So this is negative B, okay, so we're going to it's a negative and then a negative 9, so that's just going to make that 9, okay, plus or minus the square root, B squared, so I'm going to have negative 9. That's a great quote. Why did I write it? Thank you. What was it? Negative 8. All right, we're going to change that, and I'm going to just change that. See, you know, I would have messed that up, and then I would have gotten there on the video, and I would have realized that I messed it up, and I would have had to completely restart the video, and I would have got frustrated. So thank you. Negative b plus or minus square root of b squared minus 4 times 2 times 1, and then all over 2 times a, which is 2 again. Okay. We'll go down here. Can't simplify 9 plus or minus yet. And then all of that underneath goes in my calculator. You could do it if you didn't want to use your calculator, but I think the calculator is pretty easy and it's always right. And we're going to get plus or minus the square root of what? Nice. Thank you. Who said that? Okay. So we've got 56. Okay. All over 2a, or 2 times 2, which is 4. Now, here's where it's different. Okay. And you should see that, okay, 56 is no longer a perfect square. If you type in the square root of 56 into your calculator, you're going to get 7.4833147774, and it's going to go on, and it's a mess. Okay. So we have two different answers for a problem like this. Okay. The first type of answer we have is what we call a radical answer. Okay. Our radical answer is this right here. What was that? Can you guys hear me? Okay. All right. Just making sure. It says I'm connecting. Okay. We're all good? Whew. All right. So this answer right here is going to be my radical answer. So I've got 9 plus or minus the square root of 56 over 4. That's one of my answers. But we're also going to find decimal answers, okay, for this. So we have two different answers that we want. Okay, now to find decimal answers, we're going to do the same thing we've been doing. We're going to have one that's 9 plus or minus the square root. I don't want plus there. I just want plus 56 over 4. And then I want one that's 9 minus the square root of 56 over 4. Thanks for saying something. Oh boy, this isn't good. Is it just like stuck on like the screen where you can see like everybody in it and stuff? Hmm. All right, let's Okay, I'm going to try something. I will be right back. Hello, hello? All right. Yeah, it's not giving me the option to share my screen anymore. All right. Well, I think what I'm going to do then is Oh, I think I got it. I think we're back. Can you see it? Woo! Okay. All right. So I have my radical answer here, which I wrote was 9 plus or minus the square root of 56 over 4. But then I want the decimal answer as well. So I have to do my 9 plus or minus the square root of 56 over 4. And then I did 1, which is 9 minus the square root of 56 over 4. Did I? Yeah. Why do I keep putting 9? I keep putting 9 on those. Oh boy. Okay. Let me write all these 9s, or these 8s. I probably would write 8, 9 again. So 8, 8, 8, 8, 8. Nice. Okay. Now, the hardest part about this is just getting your answer. Okay. Like getting the part where we do the 8 plus or minus the square root of 56 right. Okay. So here's my advice to you. When you go to solve this, okay, put 8 plus the square root of 56 into your calculator first. Okay. So 8 plus the square root of 56 and then hit equals. And you should get 15.48331477. Then go ahead and divide by 4. Now that'll guarantee that you get your answer every single time without it kind of throwing it off a little bit. And in that case there, I get 3.87. We're going to round to the nearest hundredth. And then you're going to do the same thing for the 8 minus. So do 8 minus the square root of 56. Hit equals and then divide by 4. And you should get 0.1. And I'm going to round to 0.13. Okay. So my two answers for my decimal are going to be 3.87 or 0.13. Now I've got my radical answer and I've got my decimal answer. We got any questions on that? No? Okay. Last thing for today then. All right, last one is the discriminant of a quadratic equation. And really, it doesn't add anything different, or there's nothing new for us to do here. And I'll show you exactly what I mean here in a second. That's why I'm kind of putting both skills in here at once. There's not a whole lot different here. I do want you to take, I'm going to give you about 2 minutes, and I do want you to write down what I have in this box right here, okay? It says if squared minus 4ac is greater than 0, then we're going to say it has two solutions. If b squared minus 4ac equals 0, then it has one solution. And if b squared minus 4ac is less than 0, then it has no solutions. Okay? And you'll see, again, what we're going to do there in a second. And it's nothing to stress out about. Oh, I heard someone put their pencil down. Free time? Whoa, whoa, whoa. Last part here, okay? So the same thing, I give you a quadratic in that ax plus bx plus c form, okay? The first thing I want you to do is I want you to identify your a, b, and c values, okay? So my a value in this case is what's in front of the x squared, which is 3. My b value is what I have in front of the bx, or what's in front of the x, which is -2. And then the c value is what I have in front of or what I have at the end there, which is 2. Okay. Now, and if you looked at what you wrote down, or when you wrote it down, it just says if b squared minus 4ac. If you also remember, that was what was under underneath our original quadratic formula right there. We're going to just use the b squared minus 4ac part to see if it has two real solutions, one real solution, or no solutions. Okay, so I go up here and I hit b squared. So I'm going to again put it all in parentheses. Negative 2 squared, b squared minus 4, and then AC, so 3 times 2. And just like we did before, that goes right into our calculator. So negative 2 squared minus 4 times 3 and then times 2. What do we get for an answer? Anybody? Is anyone out there? What'd you say, Ben? What'd you get? When you plugged in b squared minus 4ac for this. Negative 2 squared minus 4 times 3 times 2. Oh, well, I wanted some. Thank you, Avery. All right. Hi, Mrs. Munoz. How are you? We're doing great. Doing some quadratic.
You guys are rocking it. I'm learning about quadratic equations right now, so pretty awesome.
I'm glad we can give you a little bit of knowledge about it then.
Do you guys need anything? I don't want to interrupt too long. Just checking in to make sure everybody's doing okay.
I think I'm doing great. That's for sure. Anybody else have anything?
All good. Awesome. All right. Don't hesitate to let anybody know if you need anything. Talk to your teachers, your counselors, any of us, and I'll make sure we get you hooked up with what you need. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Munoz.
Thank you.
Thanks.
With you. If you need anything, please let us know.
Absolutely, will do.
Keep doing a good job.
No problem. Thanks for stopping by.
Yep. See ya.
Okay, we get negative 20. And then if I go back up here, we look at which one. Okay, is b squared minus 4ac greater than 0? Well, negative 20, so no. Is it equal to 0? Nope, it was negative 20. Is it less than 0? Yes, so we know. In this case, go back. This one has no solutions. Okay, two more. We've got A, B, and C here. A, B, and C. My A value is going to be 2, my B value is going to be 11, and my C value is 12. So we'll go here and we'll say, so negative B, okay, so I'm sorry, I'm all sorts of B squared. I should write that down. B squared minus 4AC. So we have 11 squared minus 4 times A, which is 2, and C, which is 12. We go ahead and plug all of that into our calculator exactly how we wrote it. What do we get for an answer? 25. So once we get 25, we go back up here to our little table that we wrote down. And since b squared minus 4ac is greater than 0, we get two solutions there. So this one would have two solutions. All right. Last one. We get our A, our B, and our C value. My A is 1, my B is 8, and my C is 16. All we're doing here is plugging it into b squared minus 4ac. So I have 8 squared minus 4 times 1 times 16. 8 squared is going to be 64. Oh, no, we're just going to put it in our calculator. Here I go again, trying to do the mental math. How did you know, Ben?
I think it's 64.
Did you type in 8 squared? Equals, oh boy, equals 0, which then gets, what would my answer be for that one then? 1 solution. So we get 1 solution. Yep, if you get 0, then it's 1 solution. If it's greater than 0, it's 2 solutions, and it's less than 0, we get no solutions. Does anyone want to try to explain to me why negative numbers are no solutions? Anyone got a guess? Let me hear it, Avery. Exactly. Up here at the quadratic formula, that b squared minus 4ac is under a square root. And if I get a negative number, you never can do the square root of a negative number. If you put negative 20 into your calculator, you're going to get a domain error. It's actually an imaginary number named I that you guys are going to learn about in Algebra 2. I'm sure you're so excited about. So we don't worry about that. If ever we get a negative, we get no solutions for those. So let's just review real quick. Quadratic formula: negative b plus or minus square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. Okay. Once you plug it all in, it can just go into your calculator. Remember that if you get something that's not a perfect square, like on this one, we got the square root of 56. In this case here, you have to do the radical answer and you have to go do the decimal form answers there to the nearest hundredth. And then the discriminant is just greater than 0, equal to 0, or less than 0. You get those answers. Which are those? Okay. You'll have this video I'm going to put on Canvas as well. So if you guys have like questions, you can check that. You can send me a remind or do whatever you might want to do. Do check. So what's up, people? We're done. That's it. I'll put this homework assignment on Canvas obviously as well, so you'll be able to see that. But